Hello, welcome to an episode. I'm very happy to start recording. So I've got the crafting turtle up and running with one sieve anyway. So as you can see, it's doing its thing here. It's processing the ores, crafting them up, putting them in there, and putting the non-ore things in there. And it's just gradually going through all this stuff. So I'm just putting in the ones it's only set up to handle what can come through the gravel sieving at the moment. So that's all I'm putting it through the process. But essentially it is just lists. I need to set up the lists, add the different things from each thing that can be crafted. Yeah, the one thing I haven't done is turn this on because I want to grab some of this. And let's turn that on. And where's that lever gone? Turn that on. That should start sucking out the stuff from the chest. Yeah, these pipes are just very, very slow. So I'll be upgrading to ender conduits as soon as I can. Okay, is it? Okay, it did finish. So it's not set up in an infinite loop at the moment. So basically what it's done is it's done its loop of processing things and then it's stopped. So if we press the key, go back. So what I'll do is I'll go through what this does briefly, and then that'll be the end of this episode. And what I will be doing next is mainly just smoothing out the whole process. So setting up more sieves with things and making sure to plug the smeltery into the storage drawers so that it's putting the ingots into here rather than into a chest over there. Adding the rest of the items to the lists. And currently this isn't sourcing stuff itself. It's I've just been putting in stacks of cobblestone into there, so I'll need to set that up. And then another quick thing will be to create the blast furnace and set that up. Another thing actually is, let's exit that. Temp dot fuel level. So the turtles do, yeah. Oh, whoops. The turtles do have to be powered, so they get powered from 881. Okay, it's got a little bit of fuel. They get powered from any source that a furnace can be powered by. So I've just been putting in lava because it's a good source of fuel and it's fairly easy to get for me. So all I do is edit temp again and put the lava into the turtle and then type turtle refuel. Run, done. So it empties the bucket into the turtle and it's got more fuel to move. Now if we go back to here, scroll all the way down again. So it's a very simple program. Don't It's 153 lines is not very much for a program. Don't mistake it for something that's too complicated to do. So basically we've got these 3 commands here. Now they will be put into a infinite loop so that they'll constantly just keep going and going and going, because I don't just need the turtle to run twice or 10 times and then stop. I want it to keep going until I tell it to stop. So I'm telling it first to reorient itself, which is a function that I've written which basically moves the turtle to the end of the line, and then it knows exactly where it is, and then from there it's able to position itself in front of the first chest. This is with the knowledge that it will eventually loop its way through all 6 chests along the line. So it'll start at the first one, and then the next loop around it'll go, okay, I need to move one further across, and then the next loop one further across. Anyway, that's how I've gone with it for now. Once I have something working, that's when you can start to look at increasing efficiency of things and seeing where it's taking a lot of time. Like, I already know there's some actions that it does that are inefficient, and the turtles aren't quick, so being able to speed them up as much as possible is good, because I can't put too many speed upgrades on the sieves if the turtles can't keep up. And yeah, I want to make the whole thing as fast as possible so it'll fill up my storage as fast as possible. So anyway, then we've got this command, which is process chests, which is basically the command I have to loop through the items in the chest and do the appropriate actions for them, and then at the end it just turns left. So what the turn left does is it aligns it again so that the reorient can run, which moves it forward. So by turning left, it means when it goes forward it moves towards the chest on the smeltery. So these are all just the functions that help this process, or that show the process. So the first one we've got is this reorient, which moves to the smeltery, moves one block back, and then turns right. So you can see here, if this moved forward, it would go forward 2 times. So we go check and say, okay, I can't move forward anymore. That's what the move to smeltery function does. From there, it moves 1 step back, so it'll be on top of this chest, and then it turns right, which means it's facing this chest. So from there, we've got this process chests. It's a real simple one. So turtle detect is if there is a block in front of the turtle. Now the reason I've done this one here, detecting the block, is so that we can run the loop and it will just go further and further out until there's not a chest when it turns right. Once there's not a chest when it turns right, I can tell it to turn left and come back and start the process all again. So then we've got move non-craftables, craft ores, then turn right, forward, turn left. So what that does is what you've seen at the end here, where it moves one block across. So yeah, the move non-craftables and craft ores, those are the main things. So move non-craftables, we pull in 16 items because that's how much the turtle's buffer can hold. And then we loop through those 16 items, we have a look at the item details, and we check if it is an ore or is a non-ore or not. Now basically what that does is that compares it to this list. So the program has 2 lists, has non-ore list and an ore list. Now the reason we have 2 lists is so that any item that isn't on either of those lists gets left alone. So it means that, for example, if flint wasn't actually on that list, I forgot to put it there, it wouldn't just go, oh, okay, the flint's not on that list, therefore it's an ore, and I have to try and craft it into ore and put it in the smeltery, and then that'll block the whole thing up. So we want to avoid that, especially with the amount of items we're dealing with, means that it's pretty easy to make mistakes and to miss things. And so I want to make sure it's robust enough that when it comes across something it has no idea about, it doesn't put a big spanner in the whole works. You know, we want to make sure that the process keeps moving. And then what I can do is I can come in every now and then and check and go, okay, these items seem to be staying in the chests. Why is that? Oh, they're not on the list, I haven't got them, or some other thing. But the whole point is not to have any kind of undesirable outcome, or not to stop the process if I don't need to. So yeah, essentially the handling of the non-ore is pick them up and put them into the storage. So diamond, coal, flint, dye is the lapis, and emeralds. So all it does is pick those up, puts them into the storage. Now the next function is the craft ores, which is the main function, and yeah, it's a little bit complicated. It's more complicated than the other stuff we've done. So suck means to suck an item out of the chest that it's facing. So while we can still pull an item out, check the item details. If it's an ore, then, or if it isn't on the ore list, drop down. So if you can see, we've got this buffer chest underneath. So while we're processing things, while we're crafting, we can only have stuff in the inventory that we're crafting. And we also don't have control over what things from the chests that we pull out. It just pulls out the first item that it wants to pull out. So we have this other chest so that we can put stuff in there for safekeeping while we're trying to process things without messing up the other chest in front of us. Otherwise we end up going through a loop of just processing the same thing over and over again from the first slot in that chest. So we drop down there. So if we can craft it, then what we do is, because we know that everything is a 2x2 recipe, we know that we need 4 or a multiple of 4 of that item for crafting. So we have this craft stack size, so that's the size of each of the 4 stacks that will be crafted, is basically get the count of the items divided by 4. That's how many we can have. And then we do what we call a modulo for, which is get the remainder of that division, and that's the drop size. So if there's anything to drop, we then drop that down into the chest. Now what that is say we have 6 of an item to craft with, we only need 4 of that item, the other 2 won't be used. So we drop 2 down to the buffer chest, and then the stack size is 1. So we put 1 of each item, which we can see here, the transfer 2, so it puts 1 of each item into the slots, and then crafts. And then it moves ore, which is just a function which moves the turtle towards the smeltery and drops the ore, the crafted ores off in there to be processed. And then here we've got the list, the current list of the ores that come through from the gravel. So these come through as ex nihilo ore underscore broken. I think the other ones, there's dust and there's gravel or something. So if we have a look, so we've got crushed and powdered. So those are the different ones. So as I go through and actually set up the other sieves, I'll just keep adding to those lists and it should be fine. So what I'll do now is we should be facing the right way. Yep, that's awesome. So what I can do is I can add a infinite loop. So what while does is say, okay, as long as the thing you want me to check is true, I will keep doing this thing. So we're just checking if true is true, which will always be true. So I'll leave those there even though they're not actually going to do anything. Let's save, run. So that should just infinitely loop through. See, so you can see it's pulling items out, and now that we're pulling items out, the sieve is finished all its buffer. And there it's just pushed all those items into the thing. There we go, it's crafting, comes back, pulls items out. Okay, yep, craft another one, put it into there. So this is what I mean by efficiencies. Like, it's moving each time it crafts, it's moving it into that chest. We should easily be able to set up a process where it doesn't need to do it every time. It will sit and bulk craft all the items and then move them all over. But anyway, you can see it's doing what it's supposed to. If we catch it quickly, we should be able to see when it brings up a non-multiple of 4 that it suddenly drops down there. 13 turns into 12 because it has, if we look in here, here's the buffer stuff. So it's dropped these off because they're excess for the crafting. And then that's going through. And we've got our ingots coming through, which is very awesome. I don't know if we're getting any. Yeah, there we go. We got some constant tan. So some. What's stealing me? I saw. Was that lead? There's one that looked very purple. I thought maybe I'd made something cool. Anyway, so I thought about the alloys and how just chucking everything in indiscriminately will mess with it, you know. They'll mix while they're getting put into smelter, and I figured, well, it's probably not going to happen very often, and it shouldn't mess up my processes too much. I shouldn't have, for example, no copper and it's all being turned into brass or anything like that, because the ores coming through are random, which means the crafting ends up being random. Okay, why is that? Damn it, I wasn't watching. I might have to check why that stopped. Anyway, that's something to do tomorrow. It's actually very late now. What was I saying? Oh, about the alloys. Yeah, so I don't think it'll be too often that it'll actually make alloys, and that should be fine. What I want to do is actually set up some processes where we have turtles to manage the storage, and it will actually check and go, okay, we have 50,000 copper and 50,000 zinc, but we only have 1,000 brass. So we should use some of that copper and some of that zinc to make brass. I think it's copper and tin, copper and nickel or something. Anyway, so I would feed it in the recipes for the alloys, and I would give it thresholds for each of the metals that if they're above that, then you can check if you need to create them. And basically, I think I'll just have some logic that says if there is less of the alloy than there is of the source materials, the source ingots, then you can create some more of the alloy. So that way, instead of just processing the raw stuff, I'm actually getting all of them a little bit So I'm never getting into a situation, or shouldn't be getting into a situation where I go, oh, I need a whole bunch of Constantan, let me go grab all the ingots, wait around for them to all smelt down and turn them into Constantan ingots. I think that's iron and something. So yeah, hoping to get that done. Pardon me. Yeah, so like I said, I just need to finish off the system, polish it up. At this point, it's 95% done. I'll probably add in another chest to make sure that the looping actually works and actually goes down the line. And yeah, I think pretty close to being able to just build stuff, which will be nice. Because this is definitely a temporary base. That's why it looks so bad. Because I haven't put any effort in. Yeah. I'm pretty happy with it. Even though it's not 100% working just yet. I think it's definitely there, you know, there's not much left to get it perfectly working, which is nice. So as I can see, I got 8 diamonds, 143 coal, 61 lapis, 271 flint. I don't think there's anything to use the flint for, but emeralds, definitely yes. There's lots of uses for emeralds. I've got 11 of them though, but the main thing I need to do is are they just called storage upgrades? Yeah. Yeah, they're called storage upgrades. Is these storage upgrades. So I've gone with the 2x2 chests, which only hold a quarter of the normal amount of items. But if you fully put a bunch of upgrades into those chests, so a void upgrade and 4 emerald upgrades, I believe emeralds do 13 times the base value. So it's a stack limit of 8. Let me quickly work that out. Actually, that's right. So that gives us a max of 33,000 items. So if I fully max out the emeralds on them, they can all hold 33,000, which is fine. And then any items that I want more than that, I can have bigger storage chests, storage drawers for them. But for the moment, for the sieving, that should work fine. At the start of the game, I don't think I'll be getting 30,000 of any single item very quickly. And yeah, hopefully that'll allow me to storage. Yeah, gradually work through putting in speed upgrades and stuff for this, setting up all the other sieves. So I need a bit of stuff. Vibrant alloy nuggets, dark staples. Yeah. Pyrotheum dust is a lot easier to make. I don't know why they've got 2 recipes for it. But yeah, so making a whole bunch of Invar and Electrum, and then trying to make a whole bunch of Pyrotheum dust as well. To get some speed upgrades, not to mention getting more thermoelectric generators set in so that we can actually power all the speed upgrades. But yeah, I think be cool. I think that looks very nice. So yeah, I think tungsten and titanium. Another thing I need to do actually is to create some more tools and stuff now. So I've still got all the iron stuff, but I think I'm pretty much at the stage where I can make something a little bit better that can go get some ardite and some cobalt from the nether, and then I can use the ardite and cobalt to make manulin, which is the top material, and at least for making pickaxes and stuff. For the crossbow I need some refined glowstone, which I get from a quest. If I can find it. This refined glowstone wall, where's the ingot? Oh, it's just called glowstone ingot. So to the clouds. Actually, that's a really easy quest. I believe that's just the aether one, which I might be able to do like right now. Does it say that? Okay. It's just this 14 glowstone, which should... Now, is this 3x3 or 2x2? Yeah. So I need to actually get some more glowstone. But anyway, once I do that, I can actually create my awesome crossbow that I had previously. And then we'll be set with all that stuff and can start building bases. Not that I need the crossbow for that, but it's just always nice to have. So yeah, I'll leave it here. I'm always rambling on. And yeah, it's the weekend now, so might be able to get quite a bit of progress done. Hopefully get to actually start building my base. I've been itching to do it for so long, but I've wanted all these processes in place, all the automatic farms, so that I'm actually gaining a lot of resources, even though I'm not directly trying to run through quests and stuff. So I'm still like improving my progress. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you next time. Hopefully I'll have a lot more interesting stuff to show.